I think Atlanta's going to win this division. Tampa's going to be feisty. But we're going to forget about the Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix drama. This is a really good football team offensively. Raheem Morris, sharp cat. Tampa's 2, and again, I think it'll be a feisty battle. Tampa also had a great draft. Their first 4 picks, all really nice players. I'm going to do Carolina 3rd. I'm with J-Mac. I think they finally got Bryce Young some weapons. I think they're going to make a surge next year. I don't like, right now, New Orleans' situation. I just don't feel good about it. I'm going to have the Saints 4th. Maybe they're 3rd, but I just don't like the way it feels right now. I'm not sure that coach is going to be there next year by Thanksgiving.
Well, is it justified?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Come on in, 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 because we have a lot to discuss. But before we do, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. Rather you're in the chat right now, rather you're watching at home, at work, wherever you are in the world, I really do appreciate it. On this edition, we're going to be talking a little bit about that clip that you just seen. That clip came from Colin Cowherd's show that's on Fox Sports 1. Colin Cowherd will be talking about his predictions for the NFC South. And we're also going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints picking up an additional player to add to their secondary. But I see the chat is rolling right now. The numbers are starting to go up. I ask that you hit the like button, the subscribe button if you're here. Thank you very much. And also, y'all already know, man, want to give a special shout out. Y'all already know where I'm going with this. All the people that may not be watching this live may catch it later. Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweet and be post, they be tweet and be post, they be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweet and be post, they be tweet and be post, they be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys.
Do the bean and weenie. Do the bean. Shouts out to them after show boys, man. Thank you so much. Wherever you catch this show, whether you're catching it live or after it's all said and done, we really do appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk a little bit about Colin Cowherd, because Colin Cowherd, he makes us so mad. Make her go Hulk Hogan. Let me tell you something, brother. I don't like what you said about my team, dude. We don't like Colin Cowherd, do we? He always got something to say. He always talking negative about our favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. This year, I mean, mad disrespectful. I mean, the disrespect is at an all-time high. Looking at the power rankings of the NFC South and how things are going to turn out, Colin Cowherd's preseason prediction. How could you? How could you, Colin, put the New Orleans Saints 4th in the NFC South? Can you believe it? Can you believe it, Who Dat Nation? Can you believe it? As I put the logo on the screen, could you believe what he did? But I got to be honest with you, Who Dat Nation. Some of you are about to get mad. I don't care. Can we have church? Can we have church, Who Dat Nation? Can we have church? So, I put this topic on X this morning. I put a picture of the power rankings. And I appreciate everybody for chiming in because I didn't think it was going to blow up the way that it did and become the topic of conversation and had that type of dialogue. So if you were a part of that, thank you so much. I did not expect for it to be that way. But as I was looking through the chat, you had a lot of people that agreed with Colin Cowherd. Now, you had some people like, no way. Now, before Carolina, like Carolina before the Saints, like, come on, we got to be before Carolina. But if you heard him, he said that New Orleans would finish third or fourth. So there's a possibility that Carolina would be in the basement still, or the Saints would be in the basement still. So he kind of covered the corners there. But as I said, you had members of the Who Dat Nation that were agreeing with him. Because let's just be honest about this Who Dat Nation. Nobody is 100% confident in the New Orleans Saints in 2024. Unless you like the biggest New Orleans Saints fan and you just got them rose-colored glasses on. And look, God bless you. But let's just be honest about this. This team has a lot to prove. This team has to prove to the Who Dat Nation, to prove to naysayers that they can actually win. So you may not like the messenger. And yes, throughout the years, Colin Cowherd has been swinging and missing like a mug. But I have to be honest with you, that nation. I'm not even mad at him for this. Because half of you that get upset and get mad and talk about how the team underachieved and how they ain't going to do nothing as long as Dennis Allen is the coach, you cannot get mad when somebody else that is not a part of the family start talking about your family. Because you talking about them too. And as a matter of fact, you're talking about them loud. You're talking about them in the church, right? You're talking about them on the street. Everybody can read the pulse of the Who Dat Nation right now. Nobody believes in Dennis Allen and nobody believes in Derek Carr. I'm not saying these things just to say them. Okay, so if somebody roll up on this, oh, TJ, you just hyper negative all the time, man. That's why I don't roll. That's why I don't watch the State of the Saints podcast. First off, so. Secondly, you got to be real about this situation. We've been talking about how this team been underachieving since Dennis Allen has become the head coach. So we can't get mad when people start talking about our favorite team because they telling us something that we do not want to hear. If the New Orleans Saints want to prove Colin Cowherd and all the naysayers wrong, I go back to my last episode. The way that you absolve all of this white noise, all of this negativity, W-I-N, win, 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 win. If you win, everybody will be quiet. The haters will be quiet. The naysayers will be quiet. Shh, be quiet. Because that's what absolves everything. Winning erases everything. No matter how trash you've been, no matter how your team has underachieved throughout the years, winning solves it all. If you don't have confidence in the New Orleans Saints, you're a big Saints fan. How do you expect somebody that doesn't have a dog in a fight, so to speak? No offense to all my Peter people out there, but it's just a saying. What do you expect from them? They can see you. They know how you feel. So once again, if you got a problem with the rankings, I mean, how could you? Because you expect the Saints, for the most part, not all of you, but some of you feel the Saints are going to be rolling in the basement until Dennis Allen gets fired. So that's the way I feel. Now, as far as the Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you may not want to hear this, folks, but I'm a realist. I can understand why they picked the Falcons to win the division and why they picked Tampa to win the division. Now, I feel like Tampa going to take a step back because I feel like Canales leaving and becoming a head coach of the Carolina Panthers is going to hurt them offensively. I don't feel like Baker Mayfield is going to be the same. I feel like offensive coordinators, they matter. See, as much as we try to pretend like they don't, they do. There's a reason why Jalen Hurts took a step back last season when Shane Steichen became the head coach of the Colts. There's a reason why Josh Allen had an uptick of his interceptions when Brian Daboll became the head coach of the New York Football Giants. See, we like to pretend like these guys don't matter, but they get head coaching jobs because they pretty damn good at what they do at making those quarterbacks better. So I do feel like they're going to take a step back. Atlanta, I understand that. You may not like Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is a damn good quarterback. And some people would even say that he's better than a quarterback that we have. Yes, he hasn't won many playoff games, but we all know that Kirk Cousins has been a thorn in the side of the New Orleans Saints every time he plays them. The Saints always go down to the wire with Kirk Cousins, or Kirk Cousins always come through in the clutch and rips the heart out of the New Orleans Saints faithful. Can I interest you in a game when the Saints played in Europe? And it was a 50-50 ball, Marshawn Lattimore versus Justin Jefferson. Can I interest you in the pass to Adam Thielen in a wild card round of the playoff? Can I interest you in the pass that he threw to the back of the end zone that we still talking about to this day? So for all those that may be critical of Kirk Cousins, you might want to think about what the Saints had to do in order for them to beat Kirk Cousins, including one of the most classic New Orleans Saints games when they played the then Washington Redskins, and the New Orleans Saints had to use some late game heroics with like 5 minutes left in order for them to beat them. But if you look at them and you being honest with yourself, Kirk Cousins actually outplayed Drew Brees in that game. So for all those that may just sit there and rolling their eyes, don't let your hate for the Falcons just feel like this dude ain't capable of winning this division, because he can. And as far as Carolina is concerned, they got Bryce Young some weapons. It seems like they want to run the football. And they have a guy that we know in Canales that can actually get the best out of an offense. So you put all that together, it is going to be an uphill climb for the New Orleans Saints. May not want to hear it, but y'all know how I roll. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat you. Now, I can make an argument to say that the Saints can be better. And how can that happen? How can the Saints be better? Well, they got a new offensive coordinator in Clint Kubiak. If you put emphasis on the run and your offensive line improves, if you take the ball out of Derek Carr's hands more so than not, right? Like getting the uptick like from 30 passes per game, minimizing it a little bit, down ticking it to 25. I think you'll be all right. I think that you'll be better offensively. Defensively, I don't have an issue. Like, I don't have an issue with the defense. I feel like the defense is going to be good because that's Dennis Allen's calling card. And that's the thing that, to me, is holding his job in place because of how great he does defense. And I feel like maybe they're looking at the fact that if we move on from him, that great defensive scheme that he has is going to go with him. So that's why I feel like maybe they're trying so hard to try to make this thing work with Dennis Allen. If Dennis Allen can get out of his own way, if he allows Clint Kubiak just to be the head coach of the offense and he focuses on the defense, but also just kind of know what's going on, you don't want to, be so far like it was back when Greg Williams was the defensive coordinator and you didn't know what was going on. The left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, and you found yourself in a, precarious situation. But at least know what's going on, but also let this man cook. And if you do that, then you should be fine. But if you don't, then you're going to prove Colin Cowherd right. You're going to prove the naysayers right. Let's just hope that the New Orleans Saints don't. I'm happy to a certain extent that they're going to fly under the radar. Nobody expects for them to do anything. Nobody expects for the Saints to win as long as Dennis Allen is the coach. And this isn't something that I'm saying. This is something that I've heard from people that's within the league, people that analyze the game, credible people that played football in the league have told me this. So if you want people to be quiet, win. All right, let's go ahead and read some of your comments. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate the time. And shouts out to everybody here, man. 164 people watching this right now in real time. I ask that you hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. That's the one, says Cartel. We have to show and prove, says Dana. Love the logo. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that, man. T-shirts on the way. T-shirts on the way. They're going to be ready for the beginning of the season. So for those that want to get a new State of the Saints podcast T-shirt, they're going to be available real soon. And I'm going to get some hats made as well. So you better get some hats too. Let's see. Dennis Allen is the coach. Absolutely. Chemo says OG 100. Rose-colored glasses on for me, bruh. Look, I ain't got no problem with that, Tasman. Like, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with being optimistic. I'm not saying walk around being pessimistic. You can be optimistic, but also be realistic. You feel me? Don't just sit around here and just say, oh, man, my team is just so great. Man, I just, like, come on, man. Like, let's just be real about this. Like, we want the Saints to win. I want people to understand this. We want the Saints to win. I want the Saints to win. It's not like I take pride in bad-mouthing this team. But you got to be honest about it. Like, the Saints, they haven't given us something to believe in. Now, they've been doing the right things. And that's the part that really ticks us off, because for the last couple of years, we've thought that they've done the right things to get them over the hump. And we've been hyping them up, right? We've been seeing them in the gym, right? We've been seeing them throwing that uppercut. You know, like, now he about to go Floyd Mayweather. That's how we felt all these years. Like, man, and we got Jarvis Land, man. We got the Honey Badger, man. We got Mike T coming back. All these different things that we said over the years. And we get excited when we start talking to other fan bases that may be critical of what the Saints going to do. And then they fall flat on their face. They miss the playoffs. They underachieve. So you got to be I don't want to call you a fool, but you got to be like a crazed fan to like look at this and not just be skeptical about it. And I don't feel like that makes you less of a fan, because that's anything in life. Anything in life. Like, you're not going to allow, like, what if you gave a person $100, right? And they don't give it back to you. You do it, they ask you for $100 again, and you give it to them again. They don't give it back to you. If they come to you a third time, are you going to give them $100? I wish I had Bishop Bullwinkle, but I said, hell's to the no. You're not. Because that person has proven to you that they're not worthy of you giving them that $100. So how do they do that? Well, they got to get back in your good graces. How about start by giving your money back? Here's those $200. Now, matter of fact, here's $400 because I gave you interest. How about that? Right? So give Saints fans something to believe in. Give us a little bit of interest. And if you do that, then you'll be fine. But ain't nothing wrong with being a optimistic Saints fan. Let's see. I'm also agree with the skepticism of DA. We have the talent to win a division, but we have to prove it. We missed the playoffs 3 years in a row. Yep. We missed the playoffs 3 years in a row. We got to count the year with Sean Payton, his final season. They missed the playoffs. You know, we got to count that too. So, been a minute since the Saints made the playoffs. Dennis got to go after the season if we don't get to the playoffs. I agree. I mean, that's the expectation. I mean, this is your third season. So we see coaches that come in with less and do more. I mean, you think about the D'Amico Ryans. The D'Amico Ryans had no business making a playoff. Like, nobody expected the Houston Texans to do anything. Yeah, take a little bit of a step forward, but I mean, you was picking top 3 before you got C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. So nobody expected you to do anything. So you overachieved. So you got coaches that come in basically out of nowhere, unheralded, and make the playoffs. So what's the excuse? And to me, I feel like it's more egregious because you've been around. So everybody knows you. Everybody knows you. You know the players. You know the system. You know what all the you know everything. You've been around here 2 stints, nearly 20 years of service to the New Orleans Saints. So to me, you got to win. You got to win, man. There's nothing else the Saints can do or say to justify Dennis Allen not winning and performing at a high level as a head coach. There's nothing. Like, it to me, if they do not make the playoffs and they have another 8-9, 9-8, 7-10 season, you gotta let this dude go. Because you're risking alienating your fan base. You're risking people not caring about what happens with the Saints. And people gonna start being interested in other things, and them Pelican games gonna become more and more intense because people gonna start shifting their attention to stuff that they feel like is worth their time. So the Saints better be careful. They better be careful, man. You may not want to do it, but if it ain't happening, it is just not gonna happen. I give Colin the side eye. Yeah, I think a lot of people do, but in this case, I can't even get mad at him for this. Like they say, a clock can be right twice a day. And I think some people feel this way. Some people feel like he that clock, that broke clock right now. Let's see. If Kubiak runs the offense and DA sticks strictly with the defense, the Saints will be 1 or 2. Yeah, I agree. You know, like I said, let Clint Kubiak be the head coach of the offense. You be the head coach and, do your defensive thing. Peek in, make sure everything on the up and up. Make sure that you still, delegating and all that kind of stuff. But, just keep your eye on the prize, and I think you'll be fine. I still feel like, it also comes down to schemes and how you're going to perform, in games that matter. Because sometimes it's not just about having good coaches on your staff. Sometimes, you got to have some really good chess players in some of those crucial games, because those other coaches on the other side, they're great, especially in the playoffs. They know how to make adjustments, not just at halftime, but in real time during the game. So there you go. Lose, lose, lose. That's all Dennis Allen has proved, that he can lose. Well, he had his best record that he ever had as a head coach last season at 9-8. I know that's not saying nothing, but hey, everybody's seen this team go 9-8 with one of the easiest schedules and all the breaks in the world and still miss the playoff. Can't expect greatness to be placed upon you after that. I agree with that. Like I said, you finished 9-8, best record. He said he was going out for a beer. I didn't say that. He said it. He said he was going out for a beer. He was happy about it. Right? We finished strong. It's not good enough. It's not good enough, man. Now, you might feel good to you because that's the most wins you ever had as a head coach. But as a fan, like, you missed the playoffs. And like you just mentioned, they underachieved. They had no business losing some of the games that they lost and not being in the playoffs. With some of the, there's this passage in the Bible when they talk about the children of Israel being in the desert and manna raining down from heaven. Right? Manna rained down from heaven on the New Orleans Saints, and they just walk right past it in some cases, right? They still, passing out from being, of malnutrition right now. Like, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. But we'll see. I mean, it's a new season. That's in the past. That's in the rear view. So you got to focus on the future. I love the underdog position, though. I mean, to be honest with you, how I hate to say it, but how long are we gonna keep on saying this? It's almost becoming a point, and I'm not saying you're saying this, Tasman, but it's almost becoming a point like we almost trying to psych ourselves up about this narrative, right? Because last year, man, I like we flying under the radar. Year before that, I like we flying under the radar. Like, man, I mean, you about to, roll into the mountains now, you know what I'm saying? You're under the radar so much. Like, we gotta start winning. Like, it's cool that you got this little underdog tag and you flying under the radar if you're winning or if you prove people wrong. But right now, they proving people right in the wrong way. So how do you rise above that? You win. You win. It's just that simple. Cousins been to more playoff games than Carr. Yeah, that's true. TJ, you just confirmed last place. Well, I don't know if I confirmed last place. I think I made a argument to justify Colin Cowherd's prediction of the Saints going in last place. I mean, come on, man. Like, even if you do not like Colin Cowherd, you got to be real and say, I can understand why he feels the way he does. Because deep down, I don't want to say deep down, but some of you feel that way about this team. You're not excited about the season. You feel like I'm just gonna be watching the game. There's not this feeling of hope like we have throughout the years of the Saints possibly making a run. It's more so like, let's see what this team is going to do. Let's see what they're going to do. It's more so like that than anything else. But I mean, like I said, this is a new season. It's 2024. So you have an opportunity to do something. All teams right now are 0-0. Let's just hope that you can take advantage of these opportunities. I hear the Saints signed a player from FAMU. Anyone from Jackson State gets signed. Not to my knowledge. And you're talking about Isaiah Major. Yeah, he was the leading tackle for FAMU. Was pretty good in their defense. He was tackling machine. And I'm glad that he got the opportunities. I just wish more HBCU players got opportunities to hear their name on draft day. And I also wish that some of these HBCU players can get more opportunities with guaranteed money, like some of these FCS players that come from schools that we ain't never heard of. I don't know, man. I mean, when I start talking about HBCUs, I just feel mad disrespected as a HBCU grad. The way that the media just basically just use HBCUs, to try to pop a rating when Deion Sanders was the coach of Jackson State, and then all of a sudden he leaves, and then everybody else leaves. And I also don't like the way that how he left, and it made people feel like HBCUs was ungrateful that Deion Sanders was there. Like, I just didn't like that, right? And the reason I didn't like it was they didn't take that narrative because they actually believed it. They used that narrative to justify them backing away from HBCUs. And I don't like that. I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan. I don't like the way that these players are just as good as some of these other FCS schools. And you can go out here and get Tyson Bagent an opportunity from Shepherd, a school I ain't never even heard of. Even the wide receiver that the Saints got, I mean, going what, Slippery Rock? Like, come on, man. Like, God bless this brother. I'm glad he's getting the opportunity. I'm glad Sheets is getting the opportunity. But seriously, these HBCU players are good, man. They just need an opportunity. And I'm not just talking about an opportunity where you just put a guy and send him an invite and be like, well, we just gonna send you an invite, and then all of a sudden, like, you put him in a line and maybe he ain't where he need to be, so he don't hear his number called for the rest of practice. Well, we gave him a shot. No, give them a shot just like you give all these other FCS guys, and they tripping all over themselves, but you keep on putting them back out there because maybe he has that upside. I just wish they give these HBCU players a fair chance and not just treating it like it's just affirmative action. Like, seriously, I am mad as I don't know what when it comes to the disrespect to HBCUs. Like, seriously, give these guys an opportunity. Like, all this Heritage Bowl stuff that they be having, and all these different stuff where, we do this down in New Orleans and people show up, and, they send in an intern that's down there in the mail room that nobody even know of. Hey, you want to go to the Heritage Bowl, represent the Saints? Or you want to go to the Heritage Bowl, represent the Minnesota Vikings? Don't even treat it with the type of respect that you would do for these East-West Shrine games and the Senior Bowl. I understand the Senior Bowl, most of those guys are going to hear their name in the first round, but put some respect on these damn HBCU players' names. Straight up. I know I went on a little tangent, but y'all know how I feel, man. I'm a HBCU grad. I'm a graduate of Jackson State University. I love my HBCU. I love all of my HBCUs. Before I went to Jackson State, I was at Dillard University in New Orleans. Before I knew what Dillard or Jackson State was, the Bayou Classic was the thing. Southern versus Grambling. Like I am embedded in the fabric of HBCUs, and I just don't like the way they get treated. So until they start treating these guys with respect and not acting as if we just boo-boo the fool, like, come on, man, we need to get better at giving these guys opportunities. Like, you got really good HBCU players out there, and these guys don't be getting opportunities. I'm talking about like they go out there, maybe, you know, the footwork ain't there. Like, treat some of these guys like how you treat these offensive linemen who got 2 left feet, but you work with them over and over again until they get it. Because maybe that offensive lineman can turn into Teron Armstead, who was a graduate of HBCUs, who went to Arkansas Pine Bluff, and is still playing in the league at a high level. So there you go. Let me stroll down a little bit. It says, I think we're going to continue to add to the team, and I agree DA got to go. But the thing is, he is going to try his best this year to keep his job. Watch. Well, look, that's with anybody, right? If you are performing or having a poor performance at work consistently, and somebody warn you and be like, man, all right now, man, you need to tighten up. We like you, but man, we need more out of you. What are you gonna do? Right? You know, sure, especially if it's a good job, and you know that you ain't performing well, you're gonna tighten up. So I don't expect for the guy to lay down. Like, if he laying down, like, man, please don't waste your time. Like, go find another coach. So I expect for him to go out there and give it the old college try and try to do the best that he can. I would hope. Like, you don't want to phone it in. So, I mean, look, I want him to do it. Like, you may not want to because you want to see this dude go, but he's the head coach of your favorite team. So for better or for worse, you want to see this dude perform, because if he doesn't, your team going to look like slow. So I don't know, man. Going into a brand new season, I don't want to see my team falling all over his face. Not my vitriol and my hatred or my disdain or my disliking of Dennis Allen is not that deep. And I don't dislike the dude because I don't know him. I mean, I don't know him. Like, as a head coach, I feel like he leaves a lot to be desired. But, you know, I'm not preying on this man's downfall. Like, I want you to fail. Like, I want this team to win. Because if he fails, that means the team is failing. And I ain't trying to go through that. I don't want to go through a season where the Saints fumbling all over themselves. I don't. I want to see this team be competitive and win football games. That's the goal. Oh, yeah, that's right. Y'all got San Fran offensive coordinator. Yep, Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak is the Saints offensive coordinator now. He was just a quarterback's coach. Yeah, he was just a quarterback's coach. He was the offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. And some people would say, well, why, if he was so good, then why is he gone from the Minnesota Vikings? Well, I just feel like it was just a new regime. They needed a little bit of a change. You had some new pieces that was coming in, and it wasn't so much about what he was doing, because he had Kirk Cousins' numbers looking immaculate out there. He had Justin Jefferson playing pretty well. He was utilizing the running backs. So, I don't have no problem with him. I think that you're going to see improvement on his offense because of him. He got to win all the preseason games too. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't care about preseason. I want to see these guys perform well, and I want to see what some of these youngsters can do. And of course, you want to see what these promising undrafted guys, or these guys that are trying to get opportunity that may have been in the league for a while. I want to see them perform well too. But I mean, I don't care. I don't care what the box score says. When it's all said and done in preseason. I care about in the regular season. TJ, I hope the skepticism this team is getting lights a fire under the players and coaches. It makes or break. Well, look, it should. It should. It should incite something inside of you to perform at a high level. Let's just see if this serves as motivation, or if it just serves as people being truth tellers. How many games will it take before we know what we are the upcoming season? I think the first quarter of the season, right? No, I'll say about 6 games. I'll say about 6 games because the first half of the season is like teams be trying to figure it out. Guys be trying to get on the same page. You still trying to work through the kinks. So I think you should start seeing like a turnaround. Like after 6 games, at best, the Saints should be, in 6 games, at best 4-2. And Saints standards 3-3, right? I mean, after 6 games, because if you 3-3, you still got a chance to make the postseason and make a run at it. And around week 7, y'all should be on it. But if they hit the ground running, I mean that'll be a plus too. Let's see. Salute that TJ and crew on the SOTS. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. It says flying under the radar is fine until you crash. Exactly. Like I only can say that the Saints been flying under the radar. I can only use that narrative so much before we just realize, hell, this just ain't working. Right? I mean, it's almost to a point like you're trying to pacify yourself because they've been flying under the radar, and that's been a term that we have used, and it just ain't working out. So how low you gonna fly? You know what I'm saying? You about to hit the Atlantic Ocean now. You flying this low. Let's see. With the money spent on car, can only imagine how that money could be spent at other positions, said Jerry. Hey, look, I agree with that. But once again, if you want to change the way people think, just start winning some football games. And people won't care about how much money you make. When you're not performing the way that people feel you can perform, or where they felt you, where they felt you should be performing, they're gonna keep on criticizing you. They're gonna talk about you. They're gonna be like, man, you know what? Nah, this ain't working, bro. Like, man, we need to find something else. But if you start winning, nobody care about what's in your bank account. Ain't nobody checking for your money. First thing when you start dropping passes, missing tackles, people gonna start looking at Sports Track and be like, man, how much money they making per year? Like right now, like without looking at Google, somebody tell me how much money DeMario Davis makes a year. Somebody tell me how much Marshawn Lattimore make a year. Somebody tell me how much Paulson Adebo making. Somebody tell me how much, I don't know, Brian Brzee making. How much Alvin making a year. Now, some of you probably, some analytic people out there, some contract people, that understand that stuff. Y'all probably can pop it out, but for the everyday Saints fan, they don't know. But start fumbling the football. Start dropping passes. Man, that man making 13 million, 13.5, 14.7. Like, it's real. They're going to start blurting that thing out. I mean, everybody know how much you make when you start dropping passes and messing up. Man, I can't believe they gave that dude $22 million. Roderick, thank you very much for the $5. Says, as long as DA let Kubiak run the offense, we will be fine. I am very, very optimistic of this team this year. Well, Roderick, that's a plus. I'm actually optimistic about the team too. I'm pessimistically optimistic. I feel like they got the pieces just like every year. They got the pieces, but man, you got to get out your own way, man. I don't feel like they're going to be basement dwellers. I don't feel like they're going to be picking in the top 5. I don't think they're going to be that terrible. But you got to win, man. How you think our defense will do this year? I think they're going to be just as good as they always are. I think they're going to be the backbone of the team. And I think the offense is going to improve. TJ, remember on any given Sunday when Al Pacino wouldn't modernize the offense and the team suffered, the OC was about to quit because of it. I got those vibes last year. Yeah, I mean, look, you win as long as you possibly can, right? I mean, you done rode that 76 Cadillac till the wheels fell off, right? But it's time to let that thing go, right? It's time to put that thing out the pasture. And they did the right thing. Like, it worked. And, at its apex, it was fun to watch. But the league constantly evolves, man, and it constantly catches up with what these teams do best. And you got to be able to change. Y'all remember like when the Wildcat first came to the NFL, like early 2000s, you had Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams back there running a Wildcat for the Miami Dolphins, and how effective it was, and how the Miami offense was looking good. And I mean, we even seen it, right? I mean, that was the game where in the first half, Miami was torching the Saints. It was killing them with the Wildcat, Ricky Williams and crew. But the next year, they tried to run a Wildcat again, and it was neutralized. And now you don't really see the Wildcat like that anymore. You see, like, variations of it. Of course, you see it with Taysom Hill, but you're not seeing it constantly, right? And you saw it in college with Nebraska and Georgia Tech and all these other teams. But college football, NFL caught up with it. And it's just like the Saints, it worked. When Sean Payton first brought that here, that West Coast offense, with Drew Brees leading the charge, it was virtually unstoppable. But as time goes on and as quarterbacks change, it's not going to stay the same. So they did the right thing. The worst thing you can do is not look in a mirror and realize that you have to change something. Right? Some of us still rocking that S curl like it's 1983. Like, come on, man, let that thing go. Cut your hair. Right? I remember Chris Rock had a show on HBO. He had a skit called "My Dad Still Has a Flat Top." And the son, like at night, he was embarrassed of his dad having a flat top. So while dad was asleep, he tried to cut his hair. Right? Man, cut that thing off, man. Nobody rocking no flat top no more. Nino Brown style. Right? You got to change it up. Right? You got to change it up. Got to do something different. And the Saints are doing just that, right? Can't be walking around with a flat top these days, right? I mean, I guess so. I mean, people don't really care about, a lot of retro hairstyles coming back. But y'all get my point. I mean, I hope ain't nobody got no soul glow in their hair these days, though. Y'all remember them S curls? Yeah, you used to buy them S curls for the store, and they give you that packet of activator. And you was squeezing that mug out there because you couldn't afford the bottle. I'm just talking about myself, I guess. You get that perm and then get that activator. It was so small, like a ketchup packet, but you up there squeezing that thing, and your hair nappy, and it's not naturally supposed to be curled up like that. So you got to go in the bathroom. You ask the teacher, can you go to the bathroom so you wet your hair a little bit so you come out with the curl. Using that activator pack. Squeeze that mug to death. Like, man, because you couldn't afford them $5, $6 to get that bottle activator, man. Dylan says, where there be any chance that we see Spencer Rattler this season when the Saints bench Carr if things go south? Could be, but I don't think they're gonna bench him. I don't think they're gonna bench him. I don't think they're gonna bench Derek Carr. I don't. I think Derek Carr gonna play better than last year. I feel like the chemistry is probably going to improve. Do I think he's going to be league MVP? Hells no. But I think that the way that the Saints are going to be structured is going to be beneficial to him because they're not asking him to move heaven and earth for him. They're asking him just to play within the guidelines, Brock Purdy style, if you will. Get the ball into the hands of the playmakers, watch them cook. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Best secondary in the league going into the year. I mean, on paper. On paper. What do you think about Reggie Bush getting his Heisman back, TJ? I think it's good. I think it never should have been taken from him in the first place. Look, man, we all know what Reggie Bush meant to college football. Reggie Bush is probably top 5 greatest college football player of all time. And we know how we felt when he was the 2nd overall pick and he landed with the Saints. But, take this man Heisman Trophy because of, what transpired. Talking about a house. I think they took it from, he took some illegal funds or something. They said, all I know is these kids generate millions of dollars for these universities. Millions. And at that time, you can get kicked off the team for taking a ham and cheese sandwich. So I didn't feel like it should have been taken from him in the first place. I'm glad that he got his Heisman Trophy back. And I'm glad, these guys, these players are getting opportunities to be able to make money on a collegiate level. So There you go, man. Congratulations to Ricky Williams, Reggie Bush. Even though Ricky Williams did win a Heisman, Reggie Bush, man. Yeah, Reggie, he deserves it, man. Should have never been taken from him. Bobby Brown, Gumby Fake. It's my prerogative. It is what I want to do. I can't hit that high note. I'm sorry. Soul Glow. Soul Glow. And mess up my vocal cords. My mom made me wear one wool. Hey, man, look, everybody had that S curl. I'm sorry, man. You know how it is. I used to call it the Eddie Winslow. Everybody, man, Eddie used to have that wet S curl. Him, Deion Sanders had that wet S curl. Man, that just used to be it, man. Dudes just used to want to rock that S curl and that part right in the middle of their head. You know what I'm saying? Or like the little the Nike swoop. You know what I'm saying? Like your barber knew what he was doing. But you know, that's what it was in the 90s. You know, everybody used to do that, man. Everybody was trying to, it was two things. You was getting that Sporting Waves, that Dukes, to get them waves, get that brush. And you in the mirror, man. You got the do-rag. I mean, some people used to get that iron, be trying to put it across their head. Like, everybody was trying to make them seasick. You were trying to get that S-curl kit. One or the other. All right? And you ain't want to mess with that, what was that one? The texture curl. Don't do that. That had you looking like a German Shepherd out here in these streets. Trust me. One of the most embarrassing times of my life, right? I put that texture curl in my head. I was about in 7th grade. Put that thing in the head. My hair was sticking up like I was in shock, boy. I'm talking about, boy, I had to, like, man, that's what I realized, you know, I could have been a comedian. Because I was fighting with my life. Like from 1st to 7th period, I was getting ribbed, boy, left and right. Boy, I had to come through with the heat. Boy, I had to have some of my best material. I was in the mirror practicing this. I was like, you know, like you know who gonna try to rib you when you get to school. So you're in the mirror, like trying to, you know, look at they shortcomings because you know they're gonna say something when you get to school. That's how I was. I had my best material, boy. I was up in there like Martin in the 90s, boy. I'm talking about Joe Torre, Def Comedy Jam. Because I know I was about to get real with that texture curl. And my mama, I know she watching this right now. Mama gave me this Nuke Rodney speech, this head coach college speech. Boy, you shouldn't care about what people say about your hair. It's about the person that you is. Hold your head up high. Like, I hold my head up high too high, they're going to see how, they're going to see this head. Let me put it down. And then, you know, the worst thing is like you go to school and, you know, you put a hat on or you put a hoodie on when you're embarrassed. And you know that teacher going to say what? Man, take that hat off. Makes it even worse. So you might well just go in class with no hat, no hoodie on. Telling you, boy, those some times right there, boy. That texture curl in 7th grade, boy, I had to rib my way through the day. Boy, I was fighting for my life, like R. Kelly said, I'm fighting for my life. I always thought Vince Young should have won that Heisman. I don't know, man. I think Reggie deserved that Heisman, man. He was a dog that year. Now, if the Heisman was at the end of the year, when Texas played USC, yeah, I definitely agree because Vince Young single-handedly beat USC in my opinion, the greatest national championship game of all time. But I mean, that's just me. Slick had it too. Yeah, Slick did. DA lied and made it seem like it wasn't the case to protect Carr's feelings. Ireland been wanting a quarterback like Penix. Also, people forget the new guy is from the Raiders and had to do with moving on from Carr. Yeah, I mean, I think they seen what they needed to see. But, I mean, the Raiders are still looking to replace him. Like, I don't think they addressed it. I think that maybe because of those 6 quarterbacks taken early, the Raiders couldn't do it. So now you got to roll with Gardner Minshew. Got to roll with him. And, you know, hope that things work out. TJ, remember them S-curls in the movies, The Wood? Yeah, man. I'm from North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. Don't forget about that rat tail. Oh yeah, man. Everybody used to have a little duck tail, rat tail too. Yeah, or used to have a little, that little patch in the middle of the head. They call it the booty fade or the booty. Like everybody. I don't say everybody. There used to be the shag in some areas. It used to be called different things. With the curl activator. Yeah, man. I say, man, I couldn't afford it, man. Some of y'all folk rich, man. I used to have to squeeze the packet. I'm talking about squeezing every bit of juice up out that packet. Because I knew I wasn't going to get the S curl key. I knew I wasn't going to get the spray. I knew I wasn't going to get that spray activator. It went once that pack was gone, I had to wet that hair. Man. But I do have a funny story before we move on. I actually put that S curl in my head, and I did it to perfection. I'm talking about chef kiss. All right, so maybe it was like in 9th grade, and my math teacher, I'll never forget this. My math teacher, like she tried to get me. When I walked in the class, she just snickered and laughed. So she was like, I shouldn't say this. She was like, but I know it took you a long time to get your head like that. How nappy your hair was. And my response was, I said, well, I know how you do your hair. And I took my hand and I lift my hair up because everybody knows she wears a wig. And she ended up sending me to the principal's office because everybody started laughing at her. But yeah, that's a little funny story from back in the day, man, when I was at Frederick Douglass High School. Hey, man, but hey, those S curls, man, they used to get us through. Well, let's go ahead and move on, man. The Saints add a little bit more depth to their secondary. The Saints signed former Detroit Lion secondary player Will Harris. Now, Will Harris is 28 years old, 6'1", 207 pounds. He went to Boston College. He was a third-round pick back in 2019. He has 246 tackles to his resume, 1.5 sacks, 14 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recovery. So every time he forced a fumble, he picked it up. Right. So I mean, he got him. So and also this is a plus right here for some people that have been talking about the safety position. Should we go after Justin Simmons? Should we go after fast Eddie Jackson? Should we go after Quandre Diggs? Well, Will Harris has played free safety. As a matter of fact, he played quite a bit of free safety when he was with the Detroit Lions. So he has experience being a free safety. He's tall. He has some size on him. I seen an interview with him. He seems like a pretty smart guy. So the Saints are trying to add a little bit more depth. And it seems to me that the Saints are trying to find quality guys at a reasonable price. And look, I know people want Justin Simmons and they want Eddie Jackson, but I got to be honest with you. I'm happy with what the Saints are doing. It seems like the Saints are trying to get back to the middle. And I think that if you can be a contender, make a good run at it, all the while trying to get yourself back into the middle where you can actually compete for a championship in the later years, I ain't got no problem with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And I'm also just hoping, let's just say, for example, and I said this on the last episode, if something was to happen as far as with Derek Carr and it doesn't pan out, and let's just say Spencer Rattler in the 5th round ends up becoming very coachable and he starts to improve and you throw him in a game. Well, that's a guy that you drafted in the 5th round that has a 5th round pick salary, and you definitely can kind of build your team around him, right? For the time being, right? You can throw a franchise tag on that joint or something like that. Like you can make him a restricted, free agent. You can do all these different things. Now, I'm not advocate. Like I hope these guys get their money in the long run. But that's the reason why some of these teams can make these runs when they hit on some of these quarterbacks or some of these skilled players late in rounds. They don't have to worry about paying them for that particular time. So you can actually build a team around them. So I don't have a problem with what the Saints are doing. I know we want the sexy names. I know we want the guys that have been proven in the league to play at a high level, and you should. But if you can find a guy like Will Harris who has been steady Eddie in the league that go alongside some of the good, talented players in the secondary for the New Orleans Saints, why not? Why not? It's not a deal breaker for me. I'm not mad at it. I like what the Saints are actually doing, and they're giving these young guys opportunities. And when the Saints have given these players opportunities, they've taken advantage of it. I mean, look at Isaac Adam. Isaac Adam got an opportunity when Marshawn Lattimore went down, played very formidable, got himself paid. Right? So that's all you can ask for. Guys taking advantage of those opportunities. So I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. And if this guy can play a little bit of nickel, which he has also, and also play the safety position, that's a plus for the Saints. So that's I don't have a problem with it. I think that was a smart move. TJ, who is likely to have a breakout year for us? Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller is my top breakout guy. I like what I saw in the final game versus the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I know some people might say, well, the Falcons were in Cancun mode and they didn't like their coach and the fan base didn't like their coach and they were just ready for it to be over. But still, I mean, Kendre Miller was running pretty hard. His talent was never in question, in my opinion. I just think that the injury that he sustained in college and also had some little nicks that came up when he became a professional kind of stunned his growth. And I don't think people really understand how talented this guy is. So to me, he's going to be the breakout guy. Jamal Williams, I like him. I like his personality. But I just feel like there's something there with Kendre. Like I can see Kendre if the Saints, like, let's just say, for example, decide to move on from Alvin Kamara, right? If they just say, okay, man, we're going to try to get younger at the running back position, I can see Kendre Miller being a feature back for the New Orleans Saints. He's a really good runner. He has, he has really good vision. He's a very underrated pass catcher. He's a 3-down back, in my opinion. So that will be the breakout guy for me. I know most Saints fans would say A.T. Perry, and I like A.T. Perry, but I feel like Kendre Miller has a better chance to do it. He has a better chance to be that breakout star for the Saints. Some things would have to happen in order for A.T. Perry to have that magical breakout year. Like some guys would have to get hurt. Some opportunities would have to present itself. The way that the Saints are structuring their offense, Kendre Miller is going to get more opportunities to hit it out of the park. So that's the reason why I'm picking him. No disrespect to A.T. Perry. No disrespect to Rashid Shaheed. But I just think that Kendre is going to get more opportunities to be able to show what he's capable of. And, I think that Saints fans are going to be extremely proud of the player that he will become. Be honest. Y'all never heard of this guy Harris before this. Well, I mean, Will Harris, I heard about him. I heard about him with the Detroit Lions. Is he a household name? Absolutely not. But Chris, neither was Rashid Shaheed, right? I mean, neither was some of these other secondary players. Paulson Adebo wasn't a household name. Like some of these guys, all they need is an opportunity, and some of these players kind of get lost in the shuffle. And it ain't really a fault of theirs. They just need opportunity. So I understand when we don't recognize a player or they're unrecognizable to us, we have a tendency of thinking, well, they've been in the league since 2020, 2019. Why haven't I heard of them? Well, maybe the opportunity didn't present themselves, especially when you have a guy picked in the third round? He's picking the third round. So when you have a position of need and you're picking, Jeff Okudah, in the first round, and you're getting guys like that, right? You get further and further down the depth chart, and you really have to prove yourself. Probably have to go to special teams route. So just because you haven't heard of a guy could just mean that they haven't been given opportunity. Or maybe they've been given very few opportunities. Because, I mean, what would happen if we would have had that same approach with Isaac Adam? I mean, some of us probably did when Marshawn, oh, man, we doomed. When Marshawn went down, we're doomed, man. But look what Isaac Adam did. Went out there and played outstanding. So sometimes it just takes an opportunity, man. Sometimes, it can be a Jag. A Jag, just another guy. But he turns into a guy that a team needs. Not surprised they didn't exercise Payton Turner's fifth-year option. Being in a tub won't get you that big contract. You're absolutely right, T. Dirty. It won't get you a contract, and it damn sure won't get you any playing time. I'm gonna be honest. And I like Payton Turner. I think that I feel bad for him because I know he doesn't want to be in this position. But like you said, man, you can't be an asset to your team being hurt all the time. And this is a business at the end of the day. Yes, he was a first round pick. And yes, the Saints liked his upside and all that kind of stuff there. But if you're not on the field, you ain't on the field. And right now, this guy's looking like a tree. And y'all know what I mean. Like when a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around, does it make a sound? Like if Payton Turner, his name doesn't come up, do you even remember you on the team? And I mean this like respectfully. Like, and I tend to forget that this guy is even on the Saints team. Like when we start talking about the defensive line, I like when somebody say and Payton Turner, like, oh yeah, that's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. And hopefully this can be the season. This can be the season where it comes together. If the Saints don't sign him back, maybe he can go out there and get himself paid somewhere else. But you got to get it done, man. I mean, it's justifiably so. Like it's justifiably so. Like right now, dude is a tree. He's a tree. And I don't want him to be that way. I think he has amazing talent. But you like be honest. Don't you tend to forget that he's on the team? Like when you start talking about the defense, I've done like several shows where we talk about the defense and the Saints' issues with the pass rush. When I start talking about like Tano Passanio, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, Brian Brzee, like I tend to forget to mention him because I don't really see him. Demario Davis before the Saints was not a household name, but it depends on a player fitting a certain system. Yeah, it all depends. It all depends on, the player, the opportunity. Because that's a good point, Slim South. What if we would have been like Demario Davis? Now, I will say this. If you follow the NFL, you know how good Demario Davis was. And the Saints kind of got a closer look at Demario Davis because that was the game where the Saints played the Jets in the Superdome. And for some apparent reason, Michael Thomas just could not keep his second foot in bounds because he would have had like 3 touchdowns in that game. But Demario Davis was all over the field. And to me, I feel like that was the game that made the Saints think, man, we got to get this guy in New Orleans. So sometimes it just takes that opportunity to be able to put that thing on tape and have teams like look at it and be like, okay, man, we need to get this guy in the building. He about to be slowly slid out of New Orleans like Judy on Family Matters. Went upstairs and never came back. Yeah, Judy Winslow, Jamie Foxworth. Went upstairs, never came back, right? Act like she didn't exist. But, hey, man, hopefully this won't be a Judy Winslow situation. I'm hoping, I'm hoping that he be able to turn his career around. Because right now, like people have a tendency of forgetting he exists. And that's not a good thing. Let's see. I already read that. I already read this. 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 3-time Super Bowl champ is here. Dalton. Shouts out to Dalton, man. For those that may not know Dalton, Dalton calls the show when we open up the phone lines, and his voice, he sounds exactly like Patrick Mahomes. So I dubbed him Patrick Mahomes. Like, I promise you, like, if you hear Dalton, you would think that Patrick Mahomes is on the phone. Like, seriously. So shouts out to my guy Dalton, man. Good football mind, too. I still see another 9-8, but hopefully Kubiak gets the offensive scheme going. Yeah, that's all we can ask for. That's all we can ask for. For those that tuned in a little bit late, we were talking a little bit about the Saints and Colin Cowherd, the popular sports talk broadcaster. His show, The Herd, he did his NFL predictions. He talked about the New Orleans Saints and NFC South. And I'll go ahead and play that clip once again for those that came in a little bit late. This is what he said.
I think Atlanta's going to win this division. Tampa's going to be feisty. But we're going to forget about the Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix drama. This is a really good football team offensively. Raheem Morris, sharp cat. Tampa's 2, and again, I think it'll be a feisty battle. Tampa also had a great draft. Their first 4 picks, all really nice players. I'm going to do Carolina 3rd. I'm with J-Mac. I think they finally got Bryce Young some weapons. I think they're going to make a surge next year. I don't like, right now, New Orleans' situation. I just don't feel good about it. I'm going to have the Saints 4th. Maybe they're 3rd, but I just don't like the way it feels right now. I'm not sure that coach is going to be there next year by Thanksgiving.
So there you have it, man. I mean, and I said at the top of the show, I encourage you, if you have not already, be kind and rewind. I talked in depth about it, but I mean, you got to prove them wrong. You got to prove them wrong, man. May seem funny, but I mean, we're skeptical. I won't say we're. You may not be, but some Saints fans are skeptical about where this team is going to land in 2024. Philip, thank you very much for the $4.99. Says it takes Kirk Cousins before wreck Carr any day. Who that? So he'll take Kirk Cousins over Derek Carr. Look, I like Kirk Cousins. Like I do. I think Kirk Cousins is a very underrated quarterback. I'm not saying he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but if the Saints needed a quarterback and they just needed somebody to be a bridge until they find a guy, I wouldn't mind. And that's what Atlanta has. They have their future in Michael Penix, and they got their bridge guy, Kirk Cousins. And I think that Kirk Cousins can lead the charge. I mean, I like Kirk Cousins a lot. Like I said, everybody can't be an all-pro, super elite quarterback. So, I mean, but he can keep that ship afloat. In my opinion, I won't be mad if we finish 4th in the division, but I can't stand a what if the next head coach just as bad as DA as Saints fan. Yeah. I mean, if the next coach just as bad as Dennis Allen, then man, somebody needs to like stop choosing and stop picking. Like they need to outsource. They need to outsource and bring somebody in and be able to ask the tough questions. I don't know, align themselves with somebody that's around the team that you trust, that has a history of being able to find the right person. You know, if you can't get it right now. But I don't know, man. I mean, they got a lot of young, promising coaches out here. And the Saints do have one thing going for them, for better or for worse. They get the hell out of the way and they let the coaches do their thing. Like, you don't have a meddling owner like David Tepper trying to jump in and intervene. You don't have like individuals like Jerry Jones, like just rule the organization with an iron fist and want to do things his way. You know, like you have ownership that for the most part, you know, they will get out the way. Now, they get out the way, and sometimes, you know, they're loyal to a fault, but at least they allow these coaches to do what the hell they need to do to win. That has been proven. So, you know, I will hope that, you know, whoever comes in, they'll give them, you know, complete autonomy, you know what I'm saying, and give them opportunity to be able to go out here and win, you know what I'm saying, and do it their way. That game at home where Carr struggled versus Carolina, first place isn't far-fetched. Last place isn't far-fetched. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to win. My reaction is what you're going to do about it. I don't like the DA situation either. He couldn't win with a top 5 easy schedule, so why the hell would we expect anything different? I have us last 2. You know, a lot of people echo your sentiments, Brandon, and that was the whole reason for this show. You know, because, you know, some people do feel that way. We're allowed to curse now. Who cussing? Who cussing in this thing? I say, who cussing? I will hope, you know, nobody up in here cussing. I will hope that we, you know, do better. Like I said, man, a damn hell or something like that. But if we using like major curse words, yeah, man, we not going to do that here. Like we not going to do that. Let's see. Talking about a new offensive coordinator. No, we need a new medical staff. Think how good players we got that never got healthy. Yeah, I mean, look, you gotta have a good medical team, you know, to be able to help these players. I don't know, man. They changed over the medical team from when Dalvin Bro was here. I don't know. I mean, I ain't in there. I mean, I've heard some criticisms. You know, I mean, we've all heard like Michael Thomas, diatribe, about how he feels about it. But all in all, I mean, you got to do what's best for these players. You got to get them on the field. You can't just, and I'm not saying they saying this, but you can't just tell them anything to just try to get them out there. You got to look out for their well-being. And I'm going to take a few more, then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. It says, already read that. With good quarterback play, DA is still Staley from the Chargers when he was there. Yeah, I tell you what, if he have a Brandon Staley game, then his coaching career going to be over before it starts. But I would hope so, because it seems like the team is like slowly turning into his team. Like, some of the old guard is starting to go. I mean, you still got Kamara, you still got Cam, you still got DeMario, you still got Laddie. And, you still got, some of these other players that had some success as well. Eric McCoy, I think when around the time he was drafted, I mean, he only really had 1 year, and that was during the time the Saints kind of made a little bit of a deep run in the playoffs. But, well, not a deep run. I think he came, 2000? Did he come 2019? Or he do 2018? Because if he came 2018, then he would have known about he would have been a part of that no or no call. So, yeah, I mean, he's had like levels of success with that. But, a lot of these guys are becoming, Saints post Sean Payton, post Drew Brees. So, they're trying to, like turn the team and make it in his image, where I guess if he says something, guys ain't like just raising the eyebrow as much. TJ, Fire Show, big brother. Appreciate that, Cartel. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. We try to do our best over here, man. We try to make a show that everybody can enjoy, and have a good time. That's the most important thing to me. Says he was there for the no call. I kind of figured that it was his rookie season. Let's see, I already read that. And I think we pretty much caught up, man. So final thoughts before we get up out of here. You got to prove them wrong. Colin Cowherd, that's what he does, man. That's what helps him to get those ratings, right? With these these hot takes, as they call them, being true to yourself, trying to incite a fan base, rather it's positive or negative. That's his job, and he succeeded. To be honest with you, if we talking about it and this is a topic of conversation, he succeeded. And we all know how this social media world works today. It's not even about are you right or wrong. It's about how many eyes can get on what you're actually doing. And he's doing it. So, like, you can talk about him, you can criticize him, but there's a reason why he's been on television and on the airwaves for 20 some odd years. Like, he knows how to stir the pot. But to me, that really doesn't matter. What matters is the New Orleans Saints going out there proving guys like Colin Cowherd wrong, working hard to try to make sure that you're a better team than you were last year, making sure that Derek Carr is playing up to the best of his ability. Dennis Allen is doing what he needs to do. Will they be able to do it? Only time will tell. I mean, you still got issues with the offensive line. Have they improved? What the relationship going to be like with Marshawn Lattimore and the coaching staff? Will Marshawn Lattimore be here, right? Will he be a post-June 1 cut? Well, I don't want to say cut or trade, I should say. Like all these different things that are going on with the New Orleans Saints. And not to mention, you kind of had some dissension in the locker room and guys being confused and guys being pulled left and right, going through the motions last season. If they don't start off on a high note, how would that affect Dennis Allen as a head coach? Will he be able to last? These are all questions that we have and will be answered this 2024 season. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to you. Please, pretty please, hit the like button if you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast. Hit the subscribe button if we won you over here on this episode. We got previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. You can follow me on X at TJAYJones8. Special shout out to everybody that was in a comment. Thank you to all those that donated to the State of the Saints podcast, making the show what it is. I mentioned earlier, we're going to be, making some T-shirts and hats are going to be out this season. As you can see on the screen, we got the new logo Really impressed with it, man. Really like the new logo. Gonna be making shirts and stuff like that pretty soon. Also, I'm asking everybody to follow me on Bleacher Report. Sports Talk with TJ Jones on Bleacher Report is available. I'm just asking everybody to follow. You'll get notifications every time I go live. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Will Harris, as well as some of the undrafted guys that spoke to the media. That will be the topic of conversation for Sports Talk with TJ on Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report is a little bit different. You'll get content that you don't get here. You'll get conversations that we don't talk about here. And I'm just asking everybody to support me, man. It's been a long journey. Put a lot of work in to be able to be a part of Bleacher Report. It's an honor to be a part of that, man, coming out of nowhere, independent, no real corporate backing. I just put it together one episode at a time, man. I'm just asking everybody to support that. And also want to give a special shout out to everybody listening that may not have chatted, but, probably was talking to me on their telephone or on their television screen, right? TJ, man, I agree. TJ, man, you tripping. Wherever you are, thank you so much, man. I hope that you enjoyed the State of the Saints podcast. And most important, I don't say most importantly, but definitely want to give a special shout out to those that didn't make it, but they watching it afterwards. Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Man, shouts out to them after show boys. But thank you all so much, man. Have a good morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is, who that? Packy Man.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.